Thanks for checking out this movie review video. This is for the 2024 release Oddity. It's a Shudder exclusive film and it's coming to Shudder on Friday, September 27th. So this is a no spoiler review. I'm going to tell you right now, I enjoyed this one. There's a lot of hype about the film. I'm not sure it quite hits the hype level. No film really ever does. It's very, infrequent when that actually happens. But this film was written and directed by Damian Mc Carthy, who did a movie that was on Shudder some years ago, I think in like 2019 or something, called Caveat. And I remember when I reviewed Caveat, I wasn't huge on it. I think I was pretty in the middle on the film because there were things I really didn't like about the story and how it kind of dragged a bit. But there were things I really liked about how it was shot and the atmosphere that was created and maintained. And it's great to see a film like Oddity from a filmmaker like McCarthy, who literally took the best parts of Caveat, improved on that, and made Oddity. So Oddity is a significantly better film than Caveat. So I think if you liked Caveat, I think you're really going to like Oddity. At least that's my feeling on it. And I'm very excited to see where Damian McCarthy goes next. Just letting you know. So this is an Irish film, just so people know, so there are accents involved. Because I know there's some people, like my father, for some reason, like Irish accents are tough for him to decipher, but my mother, no problem. So he doesn't like to watch shows with her because she's big into like BritBox and Acorn and stuff like that. So he's like, I can't because I can't understand what they're saying. And she's like, I don't know why you can't pick up on it. I don't know. It's a thing for people. But anyway, Shudder exclusive coming Friday, September 27th, as I said before. Synopsis of this film. So it's about a woman who had a twin sister who was murdered some years prior. And she is blind and she is a kind of like a medium. She has like an oddity store, like an obscurity store where, a bunch of like, as she says, like haunted trinkets basically. And she ends up getting together with her twin sister or dead twin sister's husband to kind of talk about what happened and try and talk about getting revenge, figuring out what happened to her sister. And it's horror related, and that's all I'm going to say about that because I don't want to ruin any of the very interesting things about this film. So getting into my notes, the camera work, scenery, and music in the very beginning gives this very ominous feel to the film. I feel like there are a lot of parts that capture that kind of like tense, creepy, ominous feeling. And that, again, that's one of the really good things about the film Caveat that McCarthy had done. And he, I believe, improves on that even more in this film Oddity. So creating atmosphere and maintaining atmosphere like that is really well done. A lot of intensity, a lot of feeling of dread in this film, and a lot of kind of moments of uncertainty at the same time. Like, you're kind of on the edge of your seat feeling a little uncomfortable because you're not quite sure, like, is there something creepy or is there something potentially dangerous here? Or am I just feeling like this and I'm going to be tricked and it's kind of like, no, there really is no issue here. So I like that McCarthy's able to kind of walk that line. It really helps with the audience experience, in my opinion. The scene before the title card is very tense and really makes you wonder what ultimately is going on with this film. Now, obviously, that's what you're going to find out because the sister, I think her name is Darcy in the film. I'm not, for some reason, I'm not great with like remembering names of characters in movies that I'm reviewing. I don't understand why. I like visualize the characters and I know who they are and what they did, but like names, not as great. But yeah, it really makes you wonder like where things are going with this film, and it's windy enough road to be very interesting, and you feel very engaged to get to the bottom of what happened to the main character's sister. So yeah. Sound design in this film is quite good. I always love to point out when sound design really sticks out in the film. It's something I really enjoy because I think it's something that's very underappreciated in the film industry and from a viewer experience. Sound design can do so much for you, especially in those moments where the score gets dropped and it's just kind of quiet, and the sound design is like the only stuff there to kind of like, I don't know, make you feel off or make you feel like intensity or whatever they're trying to convey. And I think sound design was particularly well done in this film, so I definitely wanted to shout that out. While I do like the composition of the score, I do think it's dialed up a bit too much. Uh, for people who've watched enough of my reviews, you know this is something I harp on all the time. When scores feel like they're screaming at you, that's when I start having a problem. This film's not the worst at that, but there is some of that going on. I do think in a bunch of those moments they really should have brought kind of the intensity of the score down. Not composition. The composition is very good. I really like the score of it, but it's the volume at which they're using it during the scenes, because you don't need to bash people over the head with how they should be feeling at that time. Viewers are smart enough to figure that stuff out, and especially with this film, how McCarthy builds atmosphere, you really didn't need the score to be yelling so much. So that's just one of my issues with it. I will say I did spot a reference to the film Caveat in the movie, which I thought was very cool. I did not see that coming, but once I saw a certain thing in the movie, and if you've seen Caveat and remember it, you'll know also when you're watching this film. I was like, oh, that's so cool, because, and it makes me wonder if there will be a third movie that then references maybe Caveat and Oddity, which I could see happening, and actually that'd be very cool, because this can be like a universe building thing, I think. But, we'll see. There are some legitimately scary parts, and it does a very nice job with jump scares. Jump scares, by and large, are not done properly, but this film and McCarthy is, I'm not going to say a master at jump scares, but understands how to do effective jump scares. There's so many of the usually bigger budget films where they're just like trying to hit you with jump scares around every corner, and they do it early on in the film, so they're just like, and a jump scare, and a jump scare, and a jump scare, and then it gets to a point where you're just like, it's not scary at all anymore, because you're getting tired of it, because you're like, oh, I know this is going to be a jump scare, and oh yeah, big surprise, this is a jump scare too. So it just doesn't work. So the best way to do it, which is what McCarthy kind of does, is you don't try to do jump scares immediately. You have them not at intervals where people necessarily can figure it out. Like, you have it on your terms, and you do it more sparsely. And that's when it really works, and very effective in this film. Did a really good job with that. But yeah, also legitimately some scary stuff in this. I'm into it. The film is slow moving, just so people know, but the atmosphere is so good that it really keeps you engaged. Plus, what I was talking about before, you want to get to the bottom of the story. You want to know the backstory, like what actually happened to this main character's twin sister. And not only that, how is this going to resolve itself? What is this sister going to do about it? So, yeah. I wish there was a lot more gore to the film, but it's also not really necessary for it to be effective. It was just kind of a personal thing for me, because I found myself seeing certain scenes and being like, I really would have liked it if they would have gone big with practical effects here and had like a really cool, messed up, gory moment. But then I was also like, well, you don't really need it, because the film's still very much effective. So that's kind of a preferential thing. I don't think it really detracts a whole lot, but I do think that, at least for someone like me, it could have injected a little more enjoyment into the film. Not that I didn't enjoy it, because I definitely did, obviously. I guessed a lot of what happens in the end, but not all of it. And now when I bring stuff up like this, like I guess where this film was going, I guess what happened in the end, or this twist or that twist, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It just means that I happen to guess it. And then at that point, it's about how is it executed, and did I like that idea? Because a lot of times I'll be like, I think this is where it's going, and I hope this is where it's going, because I think that's a great idea. With this film, I didn't think the ending was necessarily a great idea. It was a solid idea, and I think the extra stuff I did not see coming were nice things to be added to it. So it delivered pretty well. But as an overall experience, I did like this one. So out of 5 stars, half stars in play, I'm going to officially go 3.5. I almost went 4. I'm very much in the middle with it. So if I gave quarters, it would definitely be a 3.75. But I think I'm officially going to go 3.5, because I don't really do quarters. But just know that I considered very heavily doing a 4. Actually, even going into recording this, I was still undecided. But talking it over, I think I'm going to settle on a 3.5. But Good film. I do recommend. I do recommend. Like I said, at the moment, it's cracked my top 10 for horror films for 2024. So we'll see. But everyone, if you've seen the film, go ahead and put some comments down here. We can talk spoilers in the comments. That's totally cool. Do me a favor and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I would greatly appreciate that. That's your best way to repay me for all the free content and, help me out. Also, thumbs up on the videos also helps me out with that YouTube algorithm situation. And if you want to know when I'm putting up new videos, hit the notification bell button. But regardless, really thank you for your time. And until next time, keep it brutal.